It's time, ladies and gents, about to spit about some film reels. Copping the field to seal the deal of what the films reveal. Batman, Superman, even Spider-Man compare to fare against each other, tearing apart the plots that they prepare. But these are just a few examples for the task at hand. On demand with cinematic contraband to shock the fans. To preach the theme, title, film, eat film. Tis the keen regime for cinema guillotines to rock my rhyme kiln.
Welcome back, Movie Munchers, to our final match in our tournament. This is a live-feeded match. What's up, Facebook? We've got Damon filming, Icebox, Seawells, Joey, and Trace. Woo-woo. So welcome, everyone. This should be a pretty exciting show that we've got going on here tonight. Pretty exciting podcast. We've got 5 rounds.
Hefty. It's a lot.
Can you handle that, Trace? Trace was crying to me earlier. He's
I
like,
was.
Oh, 5, I can't even count that high. And I was like, dude, it's okay. You'll be all right. So,
Not wrong.
we're doing the judging a little bit differently. Normally, we just have one. However, I will be a judge. Seawells will be a judge. Damon will be a judge. And Joey will be a judge. We are going to basically each have 3 points to divvy up at the end of each round, except I will have 6 because that's how many I'm worth. And we're basically just going to divvy up our points to who we think is a winner and go from there. So it's not just going to be one person deciding the champion, which I think is pretty awesome because that's a lot
For the
of
belt.
pressure
For the
taken
belt.
off. So we're just going to get right into this, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the honorary coin flip already done. Trace was the loser. Nimi decided what category was going to go first, so Trace decided which order it was going to be, and he decided that he wanted to go second so he can get that last overall debate. So we're going to open it up to Scott. Scott, we're going to give you... Should we do three minutes?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Still.
I'm down.
All right, we'll keep it. We'll keep it at 3 minutes, and
So much more.
why don't you tell everyone the topic, and then after you do that, I will start the clock. Go for it.
We have underrated John Carpenter films. Mine is Vampires, 1998. Let's start with the casting. James Woods, excellent, Saturn Award winner. Daniel Baldwin, hilarious as Montoya. Sheryl Lee, hot as Katrina. Thomas Ian Griffith, one of the most scary portrayals of a vampire ever to be put on film. Makeup is done by the immortal Robert Kurtzman and Greg Nicotero from The Walking Dead, and Howard Berger. Let's talk about the film. Funny, smart in plot, with the history of Valak, the main vampire. Decent twist, smart, sassy characters, and it's a fun ride with vampires, shot in the desert, New Mexico territory, all that great stuff. And why is this underrated? Have you ever heard of this film? No, you haven't. That's probably because you're not true fans of John Carpenter like I am. But for the Carpenter fans that love Carpenter's style, this film is a treasure. This film is outside the realm of Big Trouble in Little China and a film that's a little bit more known, They Live. This film is truly the definition underrated John Carpenter because of the lack of exposure for such a fun film. Whereas Big Trouble in Little China is in the realm of this film, by way of outlandish plot, but way more exposed. We are talking better rated, more awards, more known actors, bigger budget, box office gross. We are talking about a film that is good, but has not had its time in the limelight, nor has residence in today's film landscape. Vampires has positive reviews, 200,000 gross, and yet doesn't get nearly the hype that Big Trouble does because of the cult following. It may be a cult following for Big Trouble, but that's a bigger following that Vampires has. So if I'm going to go even further into this, it's basically saying that you have all of the same characteristics of a Big Trouble in Little China, with the music done by John Carpenter, with sort of the weird story, the unique characters, especially focused on the main character, just like they do with Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China. But John Carpenter's Vampires is a film that I believe didn't flop as much, but yet that cult following is still what is really pushing Big Trouble. Just to give you an example, Big Trouble in Little China has had a Blu-ray release since 2009 compared to Vampire that had a Twilight Time release in 2015. And Twilight Time highlights very unique, very broad horror films, and this is one that actually finally earned that Twilight Time, so it's getting a little more exposure. But hands down, Vampires is definitely underrated. Underrated is not Big Trouble in Little China. You go up and down the streets and ask people about Kurt Russell films, John Carpenter. It's Big Trouble in Little China.
All right. Solid first argument here. We're going to stop the clock, reset that. Trace, you've got 3 minutes to debate your movie. Go for it.
Okay, as Scott said, I have Big Trouble in Little China, 1986, directed by John Carpenter, written by Gary Goldman and David Weinstein, and scored by John Carpenter. This is actually marks the last collaboration with his mainstay through the 70s and 80s cinematographer Dean Cundey. And the film tells the story of Jack Burton, a loudmouth truck driver who helps his friend Wang, Dennis Dunn, rescue his green-eyed fiancée in the San Francisco Chinatown. And this film it dives right into this crazy underworld, gives you an extremely unique and constructed adventure fantasy film that's just oozing with John Carpenter's touch. I mean, the film smashes tropes seen in films like this before. The roles reversed from the invincible lead to the bumbling sidekick. That's reversed. Burton's the bumbling sidekick, essentially, in this film. And Wang is the almost indestructible hero, which is great. It's definitely a trope that's smashed in this film, as well as racial stereotypes placing Asian Americans in a proper light, especially during the time. It's a great way to translate that. Also establishes unique mythology with unique villains. Lo-Pan, the Three Storms, all of that. I mean, the film was overall rushed, and yeah, it was a bigger budget film compared to most of his other earlier works, but it is extremely underrated looking at that. Scott said it itself, the only big notion of this film is its cult following. It was a financial failure on every sense of the term, bombed in the box office, given extremely mixed reviews by critics on release, but it got a appraisal later on, probably assuming around the time of its Blu-ray release, where its Rotten Tomatoes score got boosted up. Roger Ebert disliked the film. A lot of critics disliked the film. Thank you. And the failures of this film led to Carpenter leaving Hollywood himself, outright quitting Hollywood. It threw him into a depression and led to the declines of his films, honestly. I mean, I'm a diehard Carpenter fan, but you can't argue that with the disappointment financially of Big Trouble, that it really set it back. Sure, Vampires is not really known, but I think it's properly placed within its rating. I mean, I'm a little biased, but it's not underrated in the same sense as this movie is a movie that should be talked about in the same breath as Halloween, as The Thing, and it's not. I mean, a lot of people forget that it's John Carpenter. Sure, you can mention you can mention Kurt Russell's name and say, oh yeah, maybe I've seen him in Big Trouble in Little China, but it's not the first movie that comes with these two's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell's names next to each other. You think of The Thing. You think of Escape from New York. So. Yeah, I'll just wrap up the rest.
Stop you there. You guys know the drill. Scott, you've got 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. Thanks for the breakdown of the film. You just gave us the plot and basically some crew facts. Box office bomb does not mean a movie is irrelevant. Look at a lot of different movies that have been maybe financially disappointments but have gained mass followings. One notable is John Carter, a Disney film that just bombed altogether, but is starting to push up and become a huge following. The film is not underrated. Look at the rating: 7.3 IMDb, an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. Vampires is 6.1 IMDb. If you look at that, that's about a 60%, right? I think an underrated film. It's positive. It's a positive review on it, and it's still not looked at all in the scale of Carpenter films. It's 37% Rotten Tomatoes, but Vampire is nearly doubling that for audience score. So you're looking at another almost 60% in audience score. So it's not terrible. It's actually a film that people do enjoy and go back to. An underrated film that has little exposure but reaches the audience it touches. How can Big Trouble be underrated when it released the Blu-ray in 2009, like I said earlier, and the Twilight time that Vampires just got in 2015? Vampires is fun, fast-paced, creepy vampire film that is less popular, that still has the charisma to get a Blu-ray release finally. And I know you clowns are probably going to just be hating on me because I keep talking about the Blu-ray. But it showed, man. Like I said before, it's not all box office. It's the movies that are selling, the T-shirts right now. How many vampire T-shirts can you get? You can't. You can get any number of different T-shirts from all sorts of retro stores, and it's all on Big Trouble in Little China. It's not underrated. It's good.
All right, 2 minutes. Stop there.
Yep. I have the time over here,
yeah.
so I make sure I'm watching it.
God, wow. Sure, anything else, Your Highness?
Yeah, push start.
Jeez. And go.
Okay, Big Trouble in Little China should not be lost in cult status. It should not be in the ballpark of The Thing, or should be in the ballpark of The Thing and Halloween. But it's lost within the film resume of John Carpenter. It's his favorite film. He said it himself. He's actually currently writing a comic series about it because he loves it so much, and he wished it was more of a highly regarded film. Vampires, I think, is rated right exactly where it should be. I don't think it needs to be anywhere more. This is coming from probably the biggest John Carpenter fan in this room, saying that I think that film is exactly where it should be, where Big Trouble in Little China should be in the same ballpark as like other fantasy epics of 1986. This is the best film to come out of 1986, aside from a little movie called Alien. But this is literally almost the best movie, in my opinion, that came out that year, when a lot of people forget, A, it even came out then, and B, that it's even a John Carpenter film. I mean, we're arguing John Carpenter underrated film. Sure, yeah, you can talk about how Vampires is underrated film, but in the essence of what John Carpenter brings to the table, I think it's all laid out in Big Trouble in Little China. It's getting lost inside of Vampires. Yes, I like the movie a lot too, don't get me wrong, but I think comparing these two, I think that Big Trouble in Little China just far exceeds Vampires as a movie overall, and I think it should be rated extremely higher than what it is. That's 84% on Rotten Tomato after it was praised. It wasn't that high before. I don't have the exact numbers of what it was, but it was mixed. It was mixed somewhere in the 60% range. So, and that is definitely not where it should be. The only reason it got a Blu-ray, which is your whole rebuttal release, is because it was distributed by a major company. I mean, Vampires was independently made by John Carpenter himself. Probably just doesn't want to go back and re-release it on Blu-ray. That has really nothing to say about the underrated value of this movie. Just because it's a big movie that made some money, it made very little compared to its budget, but it is definitely underrated.
All right, stop you there. I'd say that's a pretty good first round, gentlemen. Way to open up the debates. So we'll take some time real quick for the judges. We'll tally up our points, and we'll get right back into it with round two. All right, everyone, welcome back to round two.
Chill.
Round one was pretty good. We're going to get the ball rolling. I believe every judge has their scores tallied. Of course, we're not going to reveal that till the end. We're going to keep this interesting. So, with that said, Trace, you open up round two. So, why don't you give everyone the topic, and then you've got 3 minutes. You can press start when you're ready.
Okay, topic is Renee Zellweger films, and my pick is Cinderella Man, 2005, directed by Ron Howard and written by Cliff Hollingsworth. It's a film about the true story of the down-and-out boxer James Braddock and his fight to survive not only in the ring, but through the depression as well as poverty. I picked this film because it's not a typical boxing film. It's more the story of one of the biggest underdogs in history, but it focuses more on the depression and the poverty of him and his family, more than the boxing. I mean, the boxing's a big element of the film, but still. I'm going to break down some of the performances in the film. Personally, it's Russell Crowe's favorite film he's ever done. He's trained so intensively to capture a champion's persona of Braddock that he said it was worse to train for this movie than it was for Gladiator. Paul Giamatti gives an Oscar-worthy performance as Joe Gould. Received a nomination for his performance. Played in a loudmouth antics. Were perfect for the character, and he just as much of a fighter as Jamie Braddock was. Renee Zellweger shines as the anchor of the Braddocks. For her husband and the family, she never gives up either, no matter how hard and how much she hates his boxing. She pushes on to get through such a just horrible time. And I'll say it outright, I'm not a big Renee Zellweger fan as an actress, but I think this is probably one of the best performances she's given that I have seen. There's just very good things throughout the movie. I mean, she gave a pretty solid performance, as well as the rest of the major cast. Big things about this movie is I really enjoyed how the final scene was filmed throughout. They actually had to cinematographer Salvatore Tonino invented a tire cam that essentially allowed the boxers and actors to actually hit. So it created this realistic reaction, first-person point of view. So it definitely gave more to the boxing elements, and actually, I mean, really, it correlated well, just the whole boxing theme in general, to what was taking place with these characters. And I just thought that was just executed extremely well. Not only that, but like Renee Zellweger's shining moments were as Braddock was boxing and whatnot, raising the family pretty much on her own while he had to prepare for these fights, and that was just definitely, it gave another edge. I know she's typecasted in a lot of roles like that, but I feel like this really smashed through a lot of those barriers and gave a stand-up performance from her as well as the rest of the cast. Probably one of my favorite Ron Howard films as well, and yeah, I'll just rebuttal the rest.
All right, that's 3 minutes. We're going to stop you there. Scott, you've got 3 minutes. Let everyone know your movie. Go for it.
Yeah, I got Cold Mountain, 2003. Cold Mountain puts forth an incredible story of love, adventure, friendship, perseverance, all within the confines of the Civil War. This film begs drama from the synopsis. Zellweger is the anchor for this film, winning her only Oscar for Best Supporting Actress as Ruby Tues. This film is loaded with phenomenal performances and actors such as Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, Donald Sutherland, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Brendan Gleeson, Natalie Portman, Giovanni Ribisi, and so many more. Each time Inman, Jude Law's character, runs into another character, the story takes on the style of a short vignette. But the story isn't scattered because of the brilliant work of Walter Murch, one of the best living editors working today. The way he structures each scene makes us feel like we are in Inman's shoes. The tone of each scene sways with each character we meet. The tone of Natalie Portman's character is that she's down and out. Her husband has gone and fought in the war and died. And it's very overcast and gloomy from the time he meets her to the time he leaves her. We see his interactions with the goat lady in the woods, which is a very somber sort of amber tone that you get with the cinematography and the way that she goes about telling him basically about life, and that it's beautiful. And then obviously you have Giovanni Ribisi when he meets him, and it's rough and rugged, and they cut up a cow, and the house is decrepit, and the women are scantily clothed, everything like that, just each time we meet it. This film is harshly underrated by the critics, giving off rankings in the 70% of IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. But the Oscar noms aren't just Oscar baited. The Oscar noms and one win are perfect for backing up this amazing film. Best Actor, Editing, Cinematography, Best Original Score, 2 original song noms, plus a 3 out of 4 rating by one of the most influential critics ever, Roger Ebert. Speaking of the music, Cold Mountain transports the viewer to a beautiful hillside community in the heart of North Carolina. The flashbacks are useful, and the telling of the story from both Kidman and Law works fantastically. The adventure is eye-opening and engaging. Every character speaks so much truth about the current times within the film, basically Civil War and what it's doing to the landscape and the humanity of the characters. All of this is wrapped gently in the score and the original songs that are played on classic Southern instruments. Zellweger grounds the entire film with her performance and has one of the most memorable speeches, which again rings true for today. Every piece of this is man's bullshit. They call this war a cloud over the land, but they made the weather, and when they stand in the rain and say, shit, it's raining. Each character is flawed, but not without good intentions. See the home guard scene at the fire, which is absolutely amazing. Costumes to dialect, the cinematography breathes Civil War era. It is a brilliant, brilliant film.
All right, 3 minutes. Trace, you got 2 for a rebuttal. Go for it.
Okay, I don't have a lack of nominations on my end. Actually, editing nomination, makeup nominations, and the nomination for Paul Giamatti's performance, all there too. Probably one of some of the better editing I've seen in a boxing film as well. Very, very on high regard. Edited by Daniel Hanley and Mike Hill. It just definitely worked with the confines of the film, and it's just a good feel-good movie. I mean, it is in all essences an underdog movie, and it definitely brings you into, makes you feel literally the Depression era and what somebody who was at the top of his game beforehand fall to the bottom, rock bottom, and have to fight his way back up. Just not to win anything, not to win a title, not to win recognition for his boxing, but to literally feed his family and survive something that drastic. And I thought Ron Howard, as well as the rest of the cast and crew, did exactly what they had to do to come into this movie. Overall, my movie has a slightly bigger edge critically and whatnot, 8.0, 7.2. Very, very close. My problems with Cold Mountain is that, and it's not just my problems, a lot of people had a lot of problems with it, not a lot, but this problem with the film, and that was the romantic elements, which is something that's very, very important in this film, felt a little bit lackluster, which is one of, like I said, the driving forces and genres of this film. Yes, it's a war period piece, but the romantic element is pretty much the main overarching story here. It drags at times, and not knocking Renee Zellweger's performance, but personally coming from me, I'm not a big fan of her acting anyway, so I felt at times she was a little bit over the top, overacting. But overall, I just think my film does what it has to do, but does it in a way that we haven't really seen in a lot of boxing films. Given the performance from Russell Crowe, Zellweger, and Giamatti, it just stands out as a great, great film.
All right, stop you there. Nimi, 2 minutes.
2.5, right?
What?
2 and 9 seconds.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. The first 2 actors Trace brought up was Crowe and Giamatti. I know this isn't Renee Zellweger's performance. It's Renee Zellweger Films, but she was the third person to even come out, and with the quote, solid performance. Trace basically explained her role in this film as Adrian in Rocky. Zellweger in my film is Zellweger in his film is completely overshadowed by Russell Crowe. You don't really care what's going on at home. It's the boxing that you hear about because they talk about how this character that he's going to fight has killed men. The ratings are a tad higher than mine, but just a tad. And he only has 3 Oscar noms. Anthony Minghella gets the best out of the star-studded cast in Cold Mountain. And the funny thing is like none of those Oscars even highlights Zellweger, not even for Golden Globes. Nothing that they got has anything to do with her. And Cold Mountain's a better film. It's more watchable. It showcases Zellweger's talents better. It's just more memorable. Trace was explaining that Crowe's character is a fall to rock bottom and has to climb back up, while Inman is a wounded Confederate soldier shot by his own men that decides it's no longer his fight and he's going back for love. And that love story, the overarching love story that is everything, is, as Trace said, they spend 10 minutes of on-screen time together, does Kidman and Jude Law. It's not just about their love story, although that is the driving force behind it, but it's what it's speaking to, is how you can find love in this time where it's so loveless, it's so heartless, it's, brothers killing brothers, it's, the townspeople against the townspeople, everybody's struggling, and this guy decides, I'm going to go back to find my ain true love. So, this Cold Mountain is completely better. I believe it's an underrated one, and Anthony Minghella, da bomb.
Da bomb. All right, excellent. Second round, gentlemen. We'll take another quick break here, let the judges tally everything up, and decide who they think won that second round. In the meantime, maybe give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll be right back.
72, baby.
All right, round 2 in the books. How you guys feeling after that?
Feeling energized a little bit.
Feeling
Energized.
good.
Yeah.
Starting to get warmed up.
Yeah, we're getting warmed up. I think we're getting comfortable more with.
It's
banter.
gonna get too heated in here, and then people are gonna start throwing punches.
I want that belt.
We didn't show the Facebook
I
live
showed
feed.
them.
We
I
showed
had it
them
up.
out,
We've
did
actually
we?
shown it quite a few times, but
We have? Wow, look at that.
in our first.
That is an original piece.
Yeah, we
Yes.
spent hundreds of dollars
Yeah,
on
there's
that.
no way that's a toy from Walmart.
No.
Yes.
Discount
Not at
double
all.
check.
So
I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to
the
mean.
winner gets to hit the other one.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. The winner gets to hit the,
The winner
loser
gets
with
to
a
hit
chair
the loser with the belt. Like,
and then pin them.
Fair. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
They
in
get
the-
to drop
over
the
on
people's
Wendy's
elbow.
shit.
Yeah, over by the
The
poop.
people's
with the
elbow.
cat poop.
Okay, let's do this.
All right, round
Everyone's
3.
playing into it.
I
Each
believe
one's
Scott is gonna get to go first on this.
Correct, Mundo.
So Scott, why don't you let everyone know the topic? Your movie. You got 3 minutes. Go.
Wait, I didn't even introduce the topic.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
jeez.
Whoa.
All right,
Let's go.
Jump
we
in the
got
gun,
Woody Harrelson films. Gay.
Okay.
White Men Can't Jump, 1992. An excellent glimpse inside the world of street hustlers, filled with witty, hilarious dialogue, eclectic characters, an exciting plot, and the sport of basketball. The film is deep, man. It goes into depths of profiling racism, relationships and friendship, betrayal, and even addiction in a different way than what everyone assumes addiction is. It's uniquely deep for a film that on the surface is about hustling basketball. It has shitty reviews on IMDb, but you know what? Fuck IMDb.
Yeah.
But nearly 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and 3.5 out of 4 by the incredible Roger Ebert. The film is written and directed by Ron Shelton, who has these characters pegged completely. His use of language on and around the basketball court creates the comedy and drama surrounding the film. And I don't want that to be taken lightly, because if you have not seen this film, you want to hear trash talk, you watch White Men Can't Jump, and you will it'll open a new door in the trash talk. It has such great knowledge of sports films in general. It's not cliche. It tosses twists and turns throughout to throw the viewer off of the cliched sports film path. Harrelson is excellent, and this comes at the height of Wesley Snipes' career. Rosie Perez even does an amazing job, and I don't say that as like, oh, Rosie Perez. I mean like, Rosie Perez is pretty good. The Stokies! Harrelson uses stigmas and stereotypes to lure in basketball junkies to play him and lose money to him. Kato, shut up. Throughout the film, Harrelson constantly fucks up, but both has a lesson driving towards him from beginning to end. The editing in this film is great. It has to be in a sports film. The crisp cuts from player to shots, to basketball shots works. And we are involved in the story from the get-go. The film mixes great music along with Harrelson and Snipes' endeavors. I think the ending to this film is one of the most satisfying sports movie finishes ever. Harrelson learns his lesson, but in the end he still screws up and loses a person that has stuck with him through everything. Finally, her words to him make sense. It's a great twist on the finish and a great bow tie to a phenomenal film. I cannot even begin to describe the atmosphere that you get thrust into. And if you're trying to find something that highlights California and LA, it takes you all over. It takes you to portions of the ghetto, if you will, and different areas. It shows robberies. It shows people pulling knives. It has great in-depth talks of what on the surface is comedy, but actually has a great meaning behind the racism and stereotyping that both colors, white, black, Puerto Rican, whatever you are, have, even on music. It's excellent. Check it out.
All right, perfect 3 minutes. We'll stop that time, and Trace, you get a fresh 3 minutes. Go for it.
Okay, my film is 2009's Zombieland, directed by Ruben Fleischer. Actually, first-time director, and written by Rhett Reese. It's a horror comedy starring Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin as Wichita and Little Rock, respectively, and the scene-stealing Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee. The film holds strong on both major elements at play, using its comedy and horror so perfectly it hasn't been used this well since Shaun of the Dead. I'm going to break it down between the two. Comedy, it uses the rules of survival as a unique element to the narrative. It takes a lot of comic gold along with it. In conjunction with the scenes it's placed in and the narrator's voiceover by Eisenberg, it makes for an effective tool of comedy. Something like 49 rules throughout it. I don't go through all of them, but they kind of jump here and there, and I think it's very effective use of comedy, something we haven't really seen a lot of. Names of the characters are also clever, essentially from where they're from. Tallahassee's endless quest for Twinkies is something that is really funny gold and gives a unique character arc to Woody Harrelson's character. And the fucking Bill Murray cameo is amazing. Probably one of the best cameos ever seen, for me at least. And the opening montage is just excellent with its music choice. For one, it's got Metallica's "For Whom the Bells Toll" over I think comedically used slow motion as the zombies attack people while they're smashing through the text of the opening credits, and I think it's just fantastically done. The horror element is actually really well done. Special effects, practical effects, all used mixed together to help place in a realistic zombie world, besides the fact that it's a comedy too. And it really works within the confines of this film. The work was done by Tony Gardner, actually a guy who helped Rich Baker on Thriller, one of the best music videos of all time. And he really just encapsulates the horror element to make it feel believable. Yes, it's a comedy, but it's still zombie comedy, and it's definitely believable. So definitely those are big things that working in favor of this movie. It's also a big road trip film as well. But Woody Harrelson shines in this film. As a request to him, the environment or the set was made environmental friendly. But the film's not just all fun and games. It packs some heart as well, especially the scenes with Tallahassee talking about his son. And it really gave the general public a reason to root for Woody Harrelson again. I feel as though this is a rejuvenation to his career and a career booster for all the other actors involved. I mean, Emma Stone is a huge actress now, and Jesse Eisenberg's in superhero movies. Who would have thought that would have happened? No one. But it shows off its comedy really well, and it displays everything it needs to with going a step ahead. I mean, I think Rupert Fletcher did a very great job as a first-time director.
All right, 3 minutes. Scott, you ready?
3 minutes? Hold on. Yes, I am ready.
All right, your time starts now.
Zombieland is fun, but doesn't give Harrelson the range that his acting is capable of. You've seen him do so many different things. In White Men Can't Jump, he plays dramatic and also comedic. And that plays so well because it's not over-the-top drama. There's nothing of importance that comes from Zombieland except maybe finishing your entire popcorn bucket, because that's all it is, a popcorn movie. The ending of this film is fucking atrocious in Pacific Playland. You want to talk about all the great makeup and design of this guy who did Thriller and all that, then why do they have to use CG at the end on the rides? How can you even get a ride to move at the end when you're on the ride? It's impossible. Harrelson is bottom of the barrel in star listing in this. Even the little girl from Signs is better than he is. Harrelson is gear grinding until you find out about his deeper feelings, which I will say this, only one thing for the film, the use of the song, not even For Whom the Bells Toll, screw that, that's stupid in the beginning. The song used by Hank Williams Sr. in it when he's shooting vases is perfect. You didn't state that, though. I did. It's not realistic at all. You see zombies like 5 times in the film. It's usually a single zombie anyways until the stupid ending. And it definitely didn't boost the characters. They were already big name stars by this time. And I don't think I think Woody Harrelson has never been such a huge prominent name in Hollywood. He's like a Julian Edelman, okay? He'll come through in the clutch. But you know what? He's never going to be the superstar A-list that guy that you want. Even in White Men Can't Jump, it's still Wesley Snipes top billing, but he does have that range to steal the show. He doesn't do it in Zombieland. It's a dumb movie.
All right, stopping you there. That's 2 minutes. Tris, get the timer by you here. Hit start when you're ready.
Okay. Well, apparently you're the only one that thinks so. 89% critic rating of Zombieland. Fan rating, 86%. Oh, where does White Man Can't Jump sit? Oh, 76% Rotten Tomato critic score, 68% fan rating. Oh, wow. A lot of people like my movie way more than yours. And thanks for
popcorn.
thanks for pushing my film along with giving added bonuses of why my film worked in its genre. Yeah, sure, it's a popcorn film, but it works within the confines of what it's trying to do. It's not trying to be 4 or 5 different subgenres on top of a sports comedy film. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do and doing it slightly better than the next stupid horror film to come out. I mean, this is a memorable movie. A lot of people still hold on to scenes and, like I said, those rules before. Those are things that are just, are relevant in pop culture to this day. Not you said it yourself. Woody Harrelson is kind of a side actor, but in my movie, he shines through over all of the other casts. He's the biggest push and pull in this movie. I don't know if you saw the same movie as me, but he is really doing a good job in here. And yeah, he doesn't maybe get as much range as he could have, but with the character that was written for him, I think he hits it out of the ballpark. And yeah, he still has moments of a vulnerability where he can shine through, as well as all the other characters. They really didn't have anything going for them, or actors in this film didn't have anything going for them until this movie hit. And then you have Eisenberg going to Social Network, Emma Stone doing actual acting. So this is just a great movie for a first-time director. Great performances, mostly young cast, rejuvenated a truly underrated actor in Woody Harrelson. And like you said, it's Snipes' movie in White Men Can't Jump. It's not really Woody Harrelson's movie. I think the dynamic with the characters in my movie works slightly better. It elevates the horror comedy above the tropes that typically the underused genre get weighed down by. And with comedy that sticks and holds up, it affects some of the greatest that help truly make horror great.
Stop you there. All right, round 3, definitely getting a round 2.
You said that you said the same thing about Harrelson in your movie.
What are you talking about?
Is that it was supposed to be these other movies, but he shines through. That's what you said.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Just like the way it's Snipes' movie is.
But it's not supposed to be. This is not. Don't listen to this. It's just us bantering. It's not Woody Harrelson's movie though. It's all of their it's all of their movies.
There's 2
He's just
names on the
one.
cover.
Who?
There's 2 names on the cover.
Oh, I'm talking about my movie right now.
I thought you just said Snipes and.
He
was before.
moved on to.
I'm talking about Zombieland.
Oh.
Either way, everyone,
I'm keeping up.
they can banter while we take a
let's
quick
talk
break
about it while
here.
we're-
But we're gonna take a quick break. Like I said, judges will tally up who they think won the 3rd round. We got 2 left for you. Stay tuned.
This is.
I start. Yeah, I do.
Soon. Welcome back, everyone. Round 4 about to commence. We've got a pretty good subject for round 4. By pretty good, I mean I picked it because I wanted to. It is going to be Best Chris Farley Movie. So there's not many to choose from, but I've been a pretty big Chris Farley fan forever. So we'll see what these guys picked and see if it can at least provide you with a little bit of entertainment. And Trace gets to go first in round 4. So Trace, since everyone knows the topic already, I'm going to hit start. You've got 3 minutes. Let everyone know your movie.
Okay.
Go.
I picked 1995's Tommy Boy, directed by Peter Siegel, written by Terry and Bonnie Turner. Actually went on to do such acclaimed sitcoms as Third Rock from the Sun and That 70s Show. This was the very first starring role for Chris Farley, and the first on-screen team-up of him and David Spade. And yeah, like we were discussing beforehand, there's not a lot of movies Chris Farley starred in, but this is bar none the best one he's ever done. It's literally one of SNL's greatest produced comedies, really ever, and launched the short-lived career of Chris Farley. Farley channels and embodies his Midwestern roots within the confines of this very commercially successful and great. I mean, some could say cult classic film too. I think it kind of rose above that, but yeah. So I mean, it's gained a classic status since released. And just garnered so much praise. You can look at the improv that was put into comedy, which is something that is such a huge thing to this day, but wasn't really that done back in the early to mid 90s. And they improv'd a lot of the stuff that is relevant to this day, from the Burning Alive sales pitch to the crying, singing that song in the car together. That's all stuff that those two did on their own. And that is just chemistry like you don't believe. I mean, I'm not the greatest David Spade fan, but even here I gotta admit that he works off of Chris Farley just perfectly. And it's a fun road trip comedy that has a lot of work and it kind of works like an extended comedy sketch, but it just has so much heart and happy-go-lucky antics that come from Farley, and not even just him, but the team up of him and Spade, as well as pretty great supporting cast, and just really gives us such comedy gold that just holds up years later. From fat guy in a little coat to the way that Chris Farley even says Richard. You can just hear it in your head right now. From, the housekeeping skit, Holy Shnikes, something that Chris Farley created on his own, to just elevate this movie. There's an edition of the Blu-ray or DVD release that's a Holy Shnikes edition to the movie. I mean, that's just something that came from the mind of Chris Farley. And through all of the other actors that could be, unfunny, childish humor. To other people, this could come off as unfunny, childish humor, but in the hands of Farley, it's completely his own, and he takes what he has in this movie and he runs with it, and it's one of the greatest comedies SNL's done, like I said, and just something that you look forward to watching the on-screen chemistry between David Spade and Chris Farley, and it is bar none the best Chris Farley movie there to date. I mean, it's really hard to argue. I will rebuttal that though.
All right, stop you there. Nimi, 3 minutes. Let everyone know your movie and go for
Yep.
it. Go.
Yeah, Tommy Boy is stupid. It's created a cult following and everyone loves it because it's the closest thing to a leading role that Farley has had. Honestly, look up his IMDb. It's the closest thing to a leading role he's fucking had. The ratings are bloated. The plot is stupid with the gold digger wife wanting money, the stupid idiot character that magically achieves his goal, the wooden acting of David Spade, and the Snidely Whiplash villain that can't do anything right. Almost Heroes is a comedic spin on Lewis and Clark and puts Farley in fuck, I lost my spot. In the film just enough for him to be funny and not annoying. Try to top that. The surrounding cast is much better, and the plot, albeit stupid, isn't nearly as stupid as Tommy Boy. The ending is a shocker and funny, getting beat to the ocean. The bear scene is fucking hilarious. Bidwell, can you hear me? Bidwell, telling his big uplifting speech at the end, and he gets shot. Matthew Perry is hilarious. Eugene Levy, you can't even recognize Eugene Levy in this movie, and he's freaking hilarious. Tommy Boy is the easy way out because it ranks higher than any of his other garbage films. The truth is, people like Chris Farley so much that they couldn't stand to give all his films shit ratings, so they gave Tommy Boy a bloated rating. Just think, some of the films we've argued have lesser ratings than this pile of shit. This is unfucking believable. You want to talk about... I mean, now I'm just going into my rebuttal, but whatever, I don't really care. You want to say that this is one of the best SNL produced movies? Well, dude, I got a whole list that are better. Blues Brothers, Wayne's World, Coneheads, MacGruber, A Mighty Wind. Dude, Holy Shnikes is a fucking gimmick. It's like finally 50-year-old men found something funny that they could say that's relevant. Not Holy Shnikes is fucking stupid. Chris Farley in this movie he's not funny, man. He's not funny. And why is it always that these films have to have the up and rising character who's an idiot, but yet somehow in the end he pulls his way through? But always he's got a leg up because his dad owns a business, okay? And how is it that David Spade does not find it absolutely irritating and hate this guy because of the fact that he's going to inherit? Oh wait, he does, but in the end his arc is that he likes him in the end. He's the right guy for the job. It's stupid, it's cliche, it's dumb. If you listen and watch Almost Heroes, you find something new and unique. You go outside of just the road and the car and the deer busting through and the fat guy in the little coat, and you get some actual funny shit with him, Matthew Perry looking at the Indian lady and Eugene Levy saying he's gonna kill him. How about the scene in Almost Heroes when he's gonna go take his tooth out? Or the bathwater. The bathwater is even better. When he gets out of the bath and he hasn't taken one for years and it's just all dead brown water with dead flies.
Alright, stop you there. That's 3 minutes. All right, Trace, you've got 2 minutes for a rebuttal.
Yeah,
Go
I see
for
it.
it.
Because I got a lot.
All right, go for
Okay,
it.
go. All right, so here is the kicker, my friend. Tommy Boy, 44% critic rating. Okay, whatever. That makes sense. Almost Heroes, 8% critic
Yeah,
rating.
that's stupid.
This is the kicker, though. User rating, 64% for Almost Heroes, 90% for Tommy Boy. The fans love this movie. It's the one
Because
that
they're
stands out the most. It's got a lasting effect. The comedy lasts way more. You just pointed out in most of your opening argument the big plot points and comedy points of my movie. And I've seen your movie before, and I can't even remember half the shit that's happened to it. A lot of the stuff that is garnished or that is put out from Chris Farley is recycled. But Tommy Boy started it off and did it better. And like I said in my opening argument, that the chemistry, as much as you want to say David Spade is stiff, and I do agree, but I think it works off perfectly with how over almost reacting Farley's portrayal is in this film, and it just totally, encapsulated. As much as you dislike the comedy, 90% of users like it better. Farley's top of his game in this movie. In your movie, sadly, he was on the downward end of his life. The movie came out after he passed, and I just don't think it brought the chemistry to the performance of whatever kind of dumb jokes he's bringing to the table that Tommy Boy did. Yeah, sure, 2 people in this room love that movie. I guarantee you the other 4 of us love Tommy Boy more. And that's just how just how it breaks down. We're pretty much arguing apples and oranges. Yeah, there's a underlying theme to the movie that's slightly different, but the comedy that we're getting and everything is the same. But it's done better in Tommy Boy. Farley's on-screen presence was like no one else. Tommy Boy was his best to speak of, and Almost Heroes sits on the bottom of the totem pole as places best of Chris Farley movies go. Tommy Boy is the shining star of Farley's unfortunate short career. Its humor, on-screen chemistry, it just paves his legacy, essentially.
Stopping you there. Scott, you've got 2 minutes. You ready?
No.
Yes.
Yes. All right, 2 minutes. Go.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and criticize the fans, but I'm going to criticize the fans. The fans are stupid. You know who watches Tommy Boy? It's the people that didn't know what to watch when they were younger, so they popped in the stupidest movie they had, and it became a nostalgia factor. That's what it is. Nostalgia rolls this film, and it rolls it, and it rolls it, and it rolls it. That's why you have a fucking Holy Shnikey edition on DVD.
Or Blu-ray.
They chose the most quotable film, dude. I just don't get how you would like this movie. It's just stupid stuff. Him quoting lines from other movies into a fan, and that makes it memorable. You agreed with how stiff Spade is? Then how does it work? How does it work? It just magically works? No, you're finding ways to spin it so that you can say, hey, I like this movie and this is why it's the best. The critics' audience and this and that. 8% is measly. Come on. You know that when people get on a roll, they're going to give a movie 8%. But what they don't know is the hard work and dedication that everybody involved put forth to make a feature film. No film should get an 8%. Let's be serious here. Tommy Boy is way more accessible. All right, look at Napoleon. Look what Napoleon Dynamite did with the mass audiences. A stupid ass movie that has stupid quotable lines, yet everybody loved it for a time. I haven't heard about Tommy Boy in how long? Granted, I haven't heard about Almost Heroes, but Almost Heroes is a film I go back to more because it has a little bit more hidden gems in it. Remember Farley. Watch Almost Heroes because that is the movie that you gotta explore. I don't feel like everybody explored that enough because all they got was MTV and Comedy Central ramming down Black Sheep and Tommy Boy, which is 2 of the same movie over and over again. Okay, so you wipe out those 2. Why don't you take a little bit new, a fresher approach and go with Lewis and Clark knockoff? What up?
All right. Pretty solid rebuttal. End of round 4. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
I want to throw out the Facebook chat has turned against Scott Nemi on this one.
What, 2 people?
No, it's just Max.
Oh.
Bugle day.
All right.
Bugle day.
Guy's a Farley hater.
All right, everyone.
Dude,
be
I
right
like
back.
all-
Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace. Welcome back, round 5, everybody. We made it.
Woo.
You guys excited? You pumped?
Yeah, let's do this. I
Trace.
gotta pee.
Think you're gonna win, dude?
I don't know, man. This is good. I mean, I'm feeling good, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just happy with the arguments. I feel like it's a fun back and forth, so I'm just
You
glad
say
that
it's fun, but just for all of our viewers and
I'm
listeners,
just going to talk about how I talk shit or
during the
something.
break,
Yeah.
Trace had to leave the room because he was so upset. And we are now down one cat in this house. I don't know where it went. I'm not saying Trace is responsible, but
You guys heard that meow?
yeah,
That scream for help, I mean?
Cut off.
we heard.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
All right, round
Wendy.
5.
Yeah, that's great.
The topic is best heist movie.
Heist movie, not best.
Not best,
Not
just
best. Just heist movies. We're just talking heist movies here.
I do have it as heist films. That's
Yep,
it.
same.
heist films.
So what we decide is which one is better by your arguments.
Agreed.
Correct.
All right.
So
So what
best,
decided
His
by
final
that?
countdown.
To everyone.
of
so
what
best
I-
heist film.
Yeah.
Where?
My last shot.
All right, better.
Basically. Better heist film.
Better heist film.
Better heist
That's
film.
fair.
Yeah, better heist film.
But it's not best in the terms of all heist films. You know, that's what I'm trying to
Sure.
get at.
Okay, better heist
Lawyer's
film.
best.
It's just which out of the two
I'm
is
just-
better.
Correct.
All right, sounds good. Well,
Give me one moment.
uh,
To a better
Mimi, you are gonna go first. You are gonna have 3 minutes.
See, fuck
you
off.
this?
Suck.
Um,
Get over there. Move. Switch it.
Everyone's going crazy.
yeah, this might sound a little weird to the listeners.
I don't give a fuck.
What do you guys think? Keep it at 3 minutes. Do you want an extra 30 seconds this round, or
Give him a minute and a half.
It's up to Scott.
Beer this championship round. Each these cats. They get a minute and a half apiece. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I'm cool with whatever, honestly. I don't mind.
Cool. What does the judge think?
Yeah, what do you think?
What
We'll
does
keep
the
it-
ring bearer
we need
decide?
consistency.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
fair enough.
So,
Through
Scott, you ready?
I am ready, sir.
3 minutes, go.
Yeah, look, I got Heist Films, Dog Day Afternoon, 1975. 8 out of 10 IMDb, 4 out of 4 Roger Ebert. 95% Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience score Rotten Tomatoes, number 234 on IMDb's top 250. Acclaimed director, Oscar winner for Best Original Screenplay. Nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture, Best Leading and Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Editing. Nominated for 7 Golden Globes. I'm almost going to redo that because I know you clowns are not going to remember what I just said, but I won't. All right. This film packs so much energy to the screen from the opening minute. Here we are. Car pulls up. Closing time at a bank. Guy gets out. Asks to go inside. Another guy gets out. Big package. Goes inside. You know something's up, but you know it's a heist from the beginning. And this movie does it the best. There is not any heist cheese or cliches throughout this entire story. Within minutes, the viewer is thrust into the robbery that was supposed to take 30 minutes. This film does a great job at highlighting classism, sexuality, sexism, police brutality, power of the media, and much more. And I just want to say right now, because you clowns didn't understand that with White Men Can't Jump, you better respect it with Dog Day Afternoon, because this is what makes this film so, so important. They did all that in a film from 1975, and it still hits home today. I'm going to say right now, the scores that you're going to hear Trace lay off that may be better than Dog Day Afternoon is because this film is from 1975 and people don't have enough balls to go back and watch a film from the decade under the influence. Al Pacino puts forth a funny, serious, yet sadly lonely main character. This film is quotable, critically acclaimed, and audience revered. Reviewed as one of the greatest films from the 70s of Al Pacino's career, best of Sidney Lumet's career. AFI has it in 3 separate 100 greatest lists, and it has John Cazale in it. And for those that don't know, every film that John Cazale has been in has been nominated for Best Picture. Look at this film. Look, this film takes all of the cliches out of bank robbery films. It thrusts you into a real-life bank robbery situation with all the gunfire and betrayals, near-death experiences, etc. From start to finish, we never are deceived of the fact that the robbers are doing this for an escape to a better life. The robbers themselves are vulnerable, and we feel pity for them. It has so many phenomenal cinematic techniques, including the stunning handheld work in the beginning, highlighting the separation of classes without even speaking a word. Bravo to Dog Day Afternoon and 1975. I'm just going to say this. Through this entire film, you leave the bank a handful of times. And if you do leave it, it's to go across the street to talk to the main detective at work. When you leave that scene to go in the bus, when they get everybody in, your heart is pounding and racing. Not because you think they're going to get away with it, but because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's a freaking heist film.
All right. 3 minutes. Trace, you ready?
Yes.
Go for it.
All right, so I have 1995's Heat. This is directed and written by Michael Mann. Film follows Neil McCauley, Robert De Niro's character, and his crew of professional bank robbers as they try their best to evade the heat brought on by the persistent Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, portrayed by Al Pacino. Now, from the start, my movie as well opens up with just an amazing scene, placing you and everyone else that are, what's going on. The suspense is there. You're watching an armored truck robbery just literally minutes into the film. The editing is perfect. Score by Elliot Goldenthal. It builds the suspense right from the get-go. And all the credit to Michael Mann's direction and attention to detail. I mean, this is a guy who made a pretty major film here, a big film for the year. And used large practical explosions, huge sets, like street-wide sets in Los Angeles, which is not an easy feat to do. He used real intense gunfire to just give you this, listen to the sound of the gunfire in the movie. You won't hear it in any other movie because it's so intense and it's so raw. All of this helped to place the viewer into the world, all while showing off LA in a very effective light. And this is done with a collaboration with an Oscar-nominated cinematographer in Dante Spinati. And the use of camera placement and color throughout the film encapsulates you into the world of Heat, of good guys and bad guys. I mean, the crime and dynamic of both sides of the law is displayed just perfectly, better than any other film taking the subject in this genre, and explores the depths of both McCauley and Lieutenant Hanna like no other film has. McCauley's philosophy on never letting yourself be emotionally invested in anyone ends up being the catalyst of his demise in the film in like this poetic way. You empathize with him, just like you do with Sonny. You know he's a bad guy, you know what he's doing, but yet you still feel on his side. And on the other side of the coin, you have the grim and dark places that this case takes Lieutenant Hanna to his third divorce, his stepdaughter almost committing suicide, his partner's death in one of the best scenes any heist movie, almost any action movie set in a real world has done to date. And it displays all of these men, these men's action in a way that it's almost the same. I mean, it really could have turned out differently for him. And why it is such a great heist film is because it focuses on all of these elements. It's not a movie just about one guy in one heist. I mean, it is about a crew of professional robbers and their life and their way of doing it. So, and Lieutenant Hanna's chase to take them down. I rebuttal the rest.
All right, stop you there. Good arguments, gentlemen. Hopefully your rebuttals are just as good. You ready, Neve?
1 second.
Christ.
Good.
2 minutes.
Yep.
2 minutes, go.
Editing is perfect cow. ... You didn't finish your sentence. Yeah, the Heat shows off LA, but it's actually done better in Collateral, which is a hold-up of a cabbie in LA at night. The best part of Heat is watching De Niro and Pacino together. That happens once. Sonny is not a bad guy. He's actually misguided and unloved, and he puts his faith in something that is not going to fulfill his duties quite well. And that means he's trying to fix both relationships that he's in, and he can't do it by robbing a bank. And you said, your story is about a whole crew of guys. Well, actually, my movie's not just about one guy. It's about two guys, originally three. And the realism and originality that goes into making one of those guys flee right in the beginning makes it even more realistic. 70% Metacritic, 86% Rotten Tomatoes, barely outscoring Dog Day on IMDb. No Oscars, no Golden Globes, just a melodramatic shoot-'em-up movie. Nothing is even close to the heart-racing tension that happens in Dog Day because Heat is so far from reality that we couldn't care less about the characters. Trace has been on record begging the question, how can I love this film if the characters are terrible people? He said it about Trainspotting. I now pose the same question. Here comes the boom. Heat is even original. This is a film remake, shot for shot, word for word, of Michael Mann's L.A. Takedown. That right there, my friends, is not originality. It's actually a movie, seriously, that is a remake of a movie made prior to this. You want to talk about quotes, memorable quotes. You have Sonny, Al Pacino's character, taking to the streets, yelling, Attica, Attica, posing the question of police brutality and involvement in the media. It has to do with sexuality
Gotta
because
stop you there.
he's also homosexual. Sure. Stop me.
All right, Trace, you ready?
Yeah,
2
can I see it
minutes.
over here?
Yep. Go.
Okay, first of all, I did finish my sentence. If you were listening, I said it added to the suspense. There are 2 scenes in this movie: the shootout scene at the bank, in the bank robbery, in the middle part of it, that are used for Marine recruits in San Diego to display how to properly retreat under fire and to properly load your magazine. What other movie has done something like that so perfectly? Sure, it's a fucking remake of his own movie. I mean, it's a larger, bigger scale version of his own movie, so it's not really stealing any content because he made it. You're trying to knock on my character of how I like movies because I disliked one movie. Well, I do like movies with bad guys. I mean, as long as they shine them in a light where I can at least somewhat relate to them. I can relate to Robert De Niro's character because he's falling in love when he said he would not. I can relate to even Lieutenant Hannah, who is, kind of a sleazebag, over-the-top detective, but yet he's still persistent in what he's trying to do. You can run all these tropes and these social commentaries that your film's doing, but we're arguing heist films. We're not arguing what movie does this better, because that's not about the heist. My movie takes the element of heist, it just extends it and gives you some of the best performances of anything in this subgenre that has ever been done, because you get the on-screen scenes with them are a selling point, but it was done well enough and it worked within the confines of the movie. My movie just does it better. It's a dark heist drama shot with conviction and direction perfectly by Michael Mann. It brings together literally 2 of the greatest actors of all time, pitting them against one another in a superbly written, well-edited adrenaline ride. It differences from Dog Day because it allows itself to indulge deeper into both sides of the law. Your movie, you said, there's another guy in the movie, but it's mostly just about Sonny. I have a lot more playing here.
All right. Boys, the end of round 5. How about a handshake?
Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, everyone, we are going to take a quick break, tally this up a little bit. Maybe just say who you thought won. I don't know. Maybe you get your own system at home. Who knows? But we'll be right back with winner. All right, we have our first winner of the Film Eat Film tournament.
You guys didn't do this right at all.
Wow. Are we supposed to
I said, been in the middle,
Yeah.
one on one side, one on the other.
I just didn't want to be closest.
All
It's a
right.
bad juju.
How many people did we start with this tournament with?
It was
think
supposed to be
12. I think.
12?
Yeah.
And we are down to 2.
2.
And we have a winner. So this is how the voting went down. Like I said, each round, Damon, Joey, Seawells, and myself had 3 points to give however we wished to Scott and Trace. I had 6 because I matter. So that is 3, 6, 9, 15 total points. No, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15
15 per round.
total points per round.
Damn it, Joey.
Per round. We have a winner. With the score, and this was completely random, right? So like
We all just gave our scores.
we all just gave our scores. Like Damon said this and this in favor of who, just like that. There was a 1 point difference.
You gotta be fucking
1 point difference. We don't know how we're all voting. That is mind blowing. So the winner of the first Film Eat Film with the score of 38 to 37, Trace.
Oh my god. Fuck this.
And there's the chief of it.
Holy shit.
The winner.
Undisputed.
Undisputed. Of the first tournament.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
By 1
I want to just die.
point.
I don't like that.
Tiebreaker.
The panel worked out so well because it was just completely like.
Back and forth.
So, dude, it came down to Joey doing the 3-0.
No, I went through and reappraised everything. It wasn't as much as I thought it was.
Oh, sure. He says it now.
Well, Scott,
You eat
that
shit.
was fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
that was long.
That was like, wow.
So you'll never know who voted for who because that's what we do around here. Secrecy.
I
Secrecy.
don't like that. I want to know what
Well, we can.
can we know which ones we won? Not who voted what, but which ones we won on.
No,
Because we didn't even go.
because
through
we
that.
didn't even go
gave,
through that.
We gave overall scores.
overall
I'll
scores.
do that for you.
If Joey wants to, go ahead. I'll tell you.
Wait, can we shut out the
Yeah.
podcast first?
Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we can do a like a secrets tell-all type show or whatever, where we go
Holy
into this
shit.
more in depth or anything. But hey, if you liked it, give us a comment, like, subscribe.
72,
Join us.
man. Give us more. We're trying to reach 100
Yo.
by December. What is there? 31 days in September?
I don't
There
know.
are.
Yes.
There are.
Yes.
So we want 100 subscribers by December 31st.
Do
Please.
it.
We're at 72.
But tell us what
Do
you
it.
like. Tell us
The
what we can
champ is
improve on.
here!
You know,
John
do you want to see
Cena!
us do something else? Anything. Just
I
we
felt
appreciate
like
you
done
all.
doing
Log into Gmail or create a YouTube account. It's that simple. As long as you have a Gmail, you can just be in your Gmail and go onto YouTube. You're already in. Just get on the Real Frame of Mind, REEL Frame of Mind. Get on there and just subscribe to
And
us.
start
please.
and wait. We got new content coming soon for all different walks of film. So
Whether or not you have a bugle dick like Max Klusendorfer doesn't matter. Just like, subscribe. Movie Munchers. Until next time. See you later.
He's like the